Welcome everyone to today's Alcor webinar. Get started with SAM Pro SaaS Integrations. Alcor Solutions is a global digital transformation services company serving Fortune 500, government agencies, and other leading organizations in multiple industry verticals across US, Canada, Europe, Japan, and India. Alcor advises leading businesses on cloud platforms, digital workflows, technology and robotic automation, enterprise service management, HR solutions, integrated risk management, and data and analytics. We also provide business process consulting to capture, re engineer, and improve processes that can easily be automated to deliver real value. The Alcor consulting team has excellence in business strategy, cloud technology, and organizational change management. Alcor is a ServiceNow Elite partner, AWS partner, and Oracle Gold partner, and also works with PeopleRain, Azure, Salesforce, Incota, Snow Software, Tanium, and several other cutting edge technologies. We have time reserved at the end of the webinar for Q&A, so please feel free to type any questions into the question section of the webinar dashboard. Our today's webinar is presented by Saksham and Pujita. Saksham is a software asset management process consultant with over 5 years of experience in software licensing, ITAM, and CMDB. He has worked for clients in telecom, transit, and technology sectors. His experience includes end-to-end ownership of software asset management processes with ongoing governance and maintenance. He has also been actively involved in process improvement activities throughout the IT asset management domain. Saksham is located in the Toronto, Ontario area, Canada region. Also, we have with us Pujita. Pujita is an automation lead developer with over 8 years of experience in ITOM, ITSM, integrations, and product development. She has worked for clients in telecom, university, and technology sectors. Her capacity to implement innovative solutions, strengthen organizations' business and technology processes, facilitate measurable delivery of high-quality services, enhance service levels, reduce operational and support costs, and improve client relationships. Pujita is located in the Dublin, California area from North America region. To make our today's webinar session engaging, we have planned a couple of poll questions, so please be on a lookout. We look forward to your participation. Thanks. I will now turn the webinar over to Saksham.
Right. Thanks, Neha. Thank you for the warm welcome. And I would like to welcome everyone here to our webinar today. And before we dive into the webinar, we have a quick poll question for everyone.
All of you can see the poll question on your screens, so please feel free to vote in. Thank you for voting. We're now ending the poll.
Okay, so this is some interesting result. I see 25% here use SAM Pro, and then I think over 50% is that don't use SAM Pro, and then some of are still deciding. So I think anyone who's using it, it's good. You know, you've already got onto a very nice tool, and anyone who's not using SAM Pro at this point, I think after the end of this webinar, we'd be able to convince you that this is the right tool. Great, thanks, Neha. Okay, now we'll just dive into the content of our webinar. And to start with, we have a question right here, which is ServiceNow SAM Pro the right tool for you? I would say yes, because I've been using it in the past, and I've driven out a lot of advantage from the tool. So one of the biggest advantage of using this tool, using ServiceNow SAM Pro as your SAM tool, is that it covers the entire software asset management lifecycle. So from requisition to retirement, ServiceNow covers each end of the process. So you can optimize your data, you can involve purchasing within it. So the end-to-end lifecycle of software asset management is managed within ServiceNow. So that's one of the biggest advantage. The other thing I would talk about is SAM and ITSM. So SAM and ITSM are very two important pillars in any organization. And SAM, what ServiceNow SAM Pro does is it works in accordance with ITSM. So with that being said, you can easily automate software requests and license allocation through a self-service software catalog. And with experience, I can say we've been using this with other clients, and it has worked seamlessly. So you have a very amazing catalog that you get out of the box, and you can implement that to automate your software request and license allocation. The other important thing that comes with SAM Pro is the ServiceNow content library. So one of the biggest challenge I've faced, and I've seen other people face the challenge as well, is software data normalization. So you're getting software install data, you're getting discovery, but the data is not normalized. So that's where the content library comes in, and it communicates. So the content library would send in automatic updates to normalize your data. So you don't have to worry about, if the data is getting normalized or not. So it updates on a frequent basis and just keeps on normalizing your data. So that's one of the biggest advantages of having SAM Pro. Great. Moving on. Like I said, ServiceNow SAM Pro is an amazing tool, and it leads the industry because there are some great benefits to it. So to start with, I would say you can manage all your licensing cost within SAM Pro. So you start creating entitlement records, and that's where you're able to see the costs associated with the licenses. Next would be so I've seen this happen. ServiceNow seamlessly integrates with tools like SCCM, Intune, ServiceNow Discovery. So these tools seem very easily integrate with SAM Pro, and they bring in your software installation data. So that's one of the biggest advantage, I would say, with having SAM Pro, that you can integrate with an existing tool. Let's say if you have SCCM in your environment, it integrates very well. So now when you see you have your software installation data coming in, you have your entitlement records created. So next step is just to make decisions on, do you want to allocate licenses that you have allocate your free licenses, or do you want to purchase more, you're running out of licenses. So that decision making becomes very easy when you have SAM Pro and when you have connected different tools to SAM Pro. So and with experience, I would say we've used this for other clients, and it's working pretty well. Another advantage, I would say, and that's the major content of our webinar today, is the integration with SaaS vendors. So you can directly integrate with any SaaS vendor that you wish and any SaaS vendor that you're working with right now. I'll talk about it in further detail. Okay, so like I said, SaaS license management in SAM Pro. One of the biggest questions and challenges at this point is everyone has started moving to a SaaS-based licensing model, all the publishers. So how do you start managing that? SAM Pro offers a very amazing solution around managing your SaaS subscriptions. So right here, you can see, you have a lot of available integration profiles within ServiceNow SAM Pro, which are available right out of the box. So you see here are some of the biggest and most popular SaaS service providers: Dropbox, Zoom, DocuSign, Salesforce, Office 365, Jira. So these are really popular industry leading SaaS vendors that have direct integration profiles available right in SAM Pro. To just to highlight some of the what all's available in SaaS license management, I would say you get your subscription data directly from your vendor to ServiceNow instance. So let's say if you're registered with Zoom and you're using Zoom licenses, so you just get that data, all your user subscription data gets directly into ServiceNow with the integration that we'll showcase in the demo. Then the other point is you can manage multiple SaaS subscriptions in one place. So it can be any number of subscriptions, right? 5, 10, you just name it and you can manage it in SAM Pro. Another advantage that I've seen is, so once you create the integration profile and once you're ready with the integration, that we'll walk you through, but there's a software model and reclamation rule already created. So you don't have to go through the hassle of, what the software model would be. And based on what the integration profile is, ServiceNow automatically creates a software model for you and also creates a reclamation rule. Right. And then next up, as I mentioned, you can manage your cost through this SAM Pro tool. You create entitlements, add your cost, and right there you get how much you're spending. So that's one of the biggest features, I would say, to understand how much you're spending on SaaS subscription. And these kind of costs, unless you don't manage, it can go anywhere, I would say. Okay, so that's again, I covered that point. You can manage your track your spend and everything within ServiceNow right itself. Okay, moving on. Before we move ahead, I would go ahead and ask another poll question with you, and you have the question on your screen right now.
Another few seconds, and then we are going to stop the poll.
Great, great. I see the results right now. So I would say close to 60% of people manage 1 to 5 subscription, either it's manually or outside of SAM Pro, and then more than 10 is I would say 33%, and 5 to 10 subscriptions, 10% people manage that. So I think that's some interesting results. And I would say, if you're managing over 5 subscriptions or close to 5 subscriptions, you would need something, you would need an automated tool that helps you manage it in one place. And as we move ahead with the webinar, I would go through some pointers that would say, yeah, I mean, SAM Pro would be the right tool to help you manage your SaaS subscriptions. Great. Okay, let's talk about what's available in SAM Pro at this point. So I have discussed, a couple of these pointers before, but I'd reiterate. So direct integration profile. So that's one of the biggest advantages, that most of the popular SaaS subscription providers, they have a direct integration profile. So which means that you log into ServiceNow instance and you have a profile available where it's a 4-step process, I would say. You just go in and you're able to start getting that data into ServiceNow right away. Then you have integration available with Adobe Cloud and Microsoft Office 365. So these are the most commonly used products at this point, and then they integrate with single sign-on. So if you have single sign-on available, they integrate pretty well. And then you have more details. It's not just subscription data. You get all different products within, let's say with the Office suite, you have 5-10 different products. So you get all that data within ServiceNow as well. And another interesting fact and another interesting feature that's available is, you have, let's say, you don't see a product that's available in the direct integration profile list, and you don't see Microsoft Office or Adobe. You want to integrate to a product that, that's really specific to you. And so what we have available is custom integration. We've done a custom integration for the purpose of this demo as well. So you can create a custom integration and start getting that data as well, although if it's not available as an integration profile out of the box. Next up you get is a SaaS license management dashboard, which gives you a very detailed dashboard on how your spend looks like and how you're trending on your SaaS subscriptions. Another big advantage, and another feature that's available in SAM Pro is reclamation rules. So as in when you add a subscription, as in you start integrating with a subscription provider, you can create reclamation rules, and there's an automated reclamation rule that already gets created. You can customize it, like you want to look at licenses that are not used in 15 days, 30 days. You can add that to your instance, and that's where you start getting reclamation data, which is savings right away. You can see, okay, 10-15 users who are not using, you can reclaim or redistribute those licenses. Great. So now we have a 4-step process here on how you go ahead with that integration. We'll walk you through that integration steps in detail, but just to give you an overview, there's a 4-step process. First is you initiate the integration. So the integration is initiated in the service provider end, which is I would say Zoom, for example. So you would initiate that in the Zoom profile. And then the next step is in the ServiceNow instance, where you create an integration profile, review the reclamation rule that's created. And last step would be just to add a software entitlement and start recording your cost and how much you're spending and how much you're getting in your SaaS subscriptions. And anyone, if you have any questions at this point, just post it in the question answer box. We'll take all those questions in the end. And this is the dashboard I just mentioned, the SaaS license management dashboard. This can be customized based on what you want to see here and based on what your management wants to see, right? So you have your spend here, you have how many assignments you have done, and then there's a trend on how many assigned licenses, how many of them are being actively used, and how many of them are available. So that's I think a pretty much great data to look at, and then you can customize this as well. Great. Okay, so I think we've talked a lot of features of SAM Pro, and then a lot of features have been discussed about the SaaS integration. It's a pretty simple process to integrate your SaaS integrations into SAM Pro, and it's pretty seamless. I would just quickly go over some of the benefits of SAM Pro that we've gone through and just summarize this. I think we've already discussed the integration between publisher portals and ServiceNow instance. I would reiterate, they very easily integrate Zoom, and then Bonusly, all those kind of, Bonusly is the custom one that we're doing, and then Office 365, Adobe Cloud, they integrate pretty well with SAM Pro. And the other advantage of having SAM Pro is you get access to subscription profiles that other customers have done on the ServiceNow store. So I mean, if you have, like I said, if you're stuck with some kind of integration, you have someone has already done it before, it'll be available on the store. So that's where ServiceNow comes to your rescue. The other value that you get out of SAM Pro is, let's say if you do not manage any of the softwares in SAM Pro right now, you're just starting. So I would say SaaS integration is one of the best points to start with, because it's easy, it's simple, and it gets done right away. So if you're starting with your SAM Pro journey, I would say SaaS integration is the best way to start, because it's, like I said, it's quick realization of your cost and value. Okay, so we've pretty much covered the benefits of SAM Pro, and then some of the benefits of SaaS integration in SAM Pro. So now we'd move on to the demo part, where Pujita will walk us through 3 different integrations. She'll showcase the data for Zoom, Office 365, and Bonusly. Over to you, Pujita.
Thank you, Saksham. Thank you for the good overview and benefits of using SAM Pro for the organizations. Hi, everyone. So today I'm going to show you the SaaS integration with Zoom. I'll be discussing the steps that needs to be performed in getting your software subscriptions into ServiceNow. So the first step is to how do we integrate with Zoom. In Zoom, we'll have to create an application for ServiceNow to talk to that application and bring in the user subscriptions into ServiceNow. And the connection the authentication that ServiceNow would be using would be an OAuth, which is the most secure way to connect with any of the instances and to bring the data. Once the application is set up, and once we get the client secret ID and the client ID and the client secret, we would be setting that up in ServiceNow, and the OAuth will become active between the 2 instances, and ServiceNow is ready to pull in the data. And this is how we set up the connection. And the second step is that how frequently does ServiceNow pull the user subscriptions from your SaaS vendor? So out of the box, it would pull every day. So if you see the scheduled job results, it would pull the information from your SaaS vendor every day. So your data that is present in ServiceNow would be mostly real-time data. So, and what data is being pulled from your SaaS vendor? So if you see that, as Saksham has already mentioned, it would create a software model, which would be Zoom Video Communication, Zoom Pro. And it would also pull the corresponding software subscriptions, which would be your like how many users are currently using this particular software, and what is their user principal name, and what is the last activity, like when was the last time that this particular person has used this particular software. So based on the information that ServiceNow pulls from Zoom, it would actually it would actually calculate the reclamation rule, and based on the reclamation rule that is in place, it would categorize your inactive users into reclamation candidates, and all of that information would be present in your software model in the user summary tab on how many are the total rights that are owned by your company and how many are assigned, and the stale rights, and what are the rights that are available, and what is the based on the software entitlement where you would be providing the unit cost of the software. Based on the entitlement record, you would be able to see the total spend and underperforming spend as well, and you'd be able to see a report of a report between the stale and the actively used users as well. This would give a good graphical representation for your management to see to how the softwares are being used across the company. And coming to the reclamation rule, I would show you how a reclamation rule looks like. Here is the one that is being created for Zoom, and the last active threshold is 15 days. So based on this particular time frame, it would check with the data that is coming from Zoom, and it would categorize the reclamation candidates. And this is the information that we get from Zoom. And I would also like to show you, this is the out-of-the-box integration that ServiceNow provides. And I would also like to show you a custom integration which we did with Bonusly. Bonusly is also one other SaaS vendor which would work on a subscription basis. And this is a software model that is being created when we integrate ServiceNow with your SaaS vendor. This is the model, software model that gets created with the publisher and the product. And the product type is licensable, and similar to Zoom, it would also have an entitlement record. It's the license is per user, and how many active rights and the purchased rights, all of that would be calculated, would be brought in from your SaaS vendor into your software entitlement record. And also the software subscription information, similar to Zoom, would also being pulled. And this is, again, the last activity, which would help the reclamation rule to calculate the reclamation candidates in here. So this is for Bonusly. And this is a custom integration. And I would also like to show you another integration, which is Office 365, which is again an out-of-the-box ServiceNow provided integration, which would again use an OAuth authentication to connect with your Microsoft Office and bring in the information. But with Microsoft Office 365, it would pull, as everybody is aware, that Microsoft Office 365 have many other software models. One of the model is that Enterprise E5, which is, again, you'd see the publisher product and the product type. And if there is an edition present, you would have the edition as well, which is Enterprise E5. There are different editions, Enterprise E3, E5. So this is E5. And again, similar to what we have seen before, you'd be having the software entitlement record, and where you'd be seeing the active rights and the purchase rights and the cost that is associated with this particular software model. And it would also pull the software user data into ServiceNow, and it would tie in the software model with those particular software subscriptions, and it would tie it to the model record. This is one of the model that is being pulled by Office 365, but here, if you see with Microsoft, within Microsoft itself, you'd have an Exchange Online Standard, Flow Free, and Power BI, and you'll also have a Visio license, which is, again, everything is subscription based, is license based, where we would have to purchase different licenses for different purpose. If you wanted in your organization, if you wanted, if some of the main project management would need a Visio to do a good Visio presentations, that would be a different license, and that would have a different cost. So all of that information is pulled by the SaaS integration, and so that you'll have a nice graphical representation of the data, like Saksham has showed the dashboard, where you would be seeing different graphical representation of the data based on the software model and the entitlements that are present in your ServiceNow. So with this, I would like to end the demo for the SaaS integrations. I'd like to hand it over to Saksham. If you have any questions, please feel free to post it, and we'd love to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pujita. Thank you, Saksham. What an insightful webinar. So we have a few questions that I'll get to you in a moment. As a reminder to everyone, please use the question section to ask a question on today's topic. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, can I start with SaaS and not with other models?
Okay, yeah, so I would take that one. Yeah. Yes, we can definitely start with SaaS integration and not other models, like I previously mentioned as well. If you're starting your SAM journey, and if there's something that you want to start with, SaaS would be the most easiest way to start, because like we just saw with the demo, it's really easy. It's just a 3-step, 4-step process where you start getting your data in, and where you start realizing immediate value. So that's I think a yes to that you can start just without any other models, but with SaaS.
Thank you for answering, Saksham. So the next question that we have here is, how long does a custom integration take?
I would like to answer that question, Neha. So the custom integration would take anywhere between 20 to 40 hours based on the software vendor that we are going to connect, based on the authentication, based on the APIs that are available for that particular software vendor. It differs from vendor to vendor, but definitely we can integrate with most of the software vendors that are out there.
Thank you for answering, Pujita. The next question that we have here is, can you actually manage the vendor portal from SAM Pro?
I would say you cannot manage the SAM portal from SAM Pro. So with that being said, anything that you have on your portal can be viewed in your SAM Pro instance, all the subscription data, all your cost metrics and everything. But if you have to add a user or remove a user, that would happen still in the vendor portal.
That answers the question. Thank you. So before we move on to next question, I would just like to remind everyone to share your questions in the question and answer section in the webinar dashboard. So the next question that we have is, does SaaS integration allow you to see usage statistics inside ServiceNow? Example, can I see when someone last used their DocuSign license?
Yes, definitely we'd be able to see that data, like we were looking at the reclamation rule. So that's based on the actual usage date. So, as an example, we saw it was 15 days. So anyone who hasn't used it in 15 days would be available, their data would be available in the reclamation candidates. So yes, that data is available where you can see who used the subscription last in, whatever many days.
Thank you, Saksham. The next question that we have is, can it gather Microsoft Visual Studio licenses?
Microsoft Visual Studio, yes. If you have the data available on the portal, and I would say yes, that data is available and we can see that data in SAM Pro when the integration starts running and getting that data in.
Thank you, Sakshi.
Like we saw, right? It's for all the subscriptions that are there in the Microsoft portal. We were able to see Visio and all of the subscriptions. So similarly, yes.
All right. The next question that we have is, if portal has license keys assigned to users, will it show in model?
It depends on which SaaS vendor you're connecting with. If the out of the box doesn't bring in that in particular information, we can definitely add some custom integration to that particular software vendor and pull that information and tie it to the model. So yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you for answering, Pujita. All right. Hope it answers everybody's question. And thanks everyone for joining. We are looking forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nia.
Thanks, everyone.